Hey everyone, welcome back to Quintessential MTG for another friendly versus powerful double deck tech episode. My name is Esmond.
I'm Paul.
And on this series, we basically build two decks around the same commander at two different power levels. One which is friendly, the other is powerful, and we use this scale that goes from precon to cEDH. So we're trying to figure out, what the levels are in between. Because not every deck is a 7.
Not every deck's a 7.
Yeah. So today we are building two decks around Sidisi, the Brood Tyrant.
Brood Tyrant.
Yes. So I will be starting it off with the friendly version, and then Paul will take over with the powerful version. Then we're going to do a quick discussion and see, what are the differences, why is mine friendly and why is his powerful, and yeah.
Unfriendly.
Unfriendly. Okay, so for my build, I decided to do a very fun on-theme deck. Sidisi cares about creatures being put into the graveyard from the library. So it itself has this mill effect, like a self-mill effect. And so I thought, you want to have a lot of creatures, you want to make sure the creatures are milled into the graveyard. So why not go 100% creatures? And because of that, we can run Imori, who is the companion. So companion, the rules have been changed. You can pay 3 mana once a game to put it from the command zone into your hand, and then you can cast it. And Umoro, basically, the limitation is that each non-land card in the starting deck has to share a card type. So for this deck, it's all creatures. And then once it's on the field, creatures are going to cost 1 less to cast. So I've broken it down into the different packages. So we're going to start with Ramp. We have Birds, which is great color fixing. Derange Assistant helps the self-mill plan. Else color fixing, we have some Ramp, another self-mill card here. Color fixing. Root Coil Creeper I thought is interesting because we can cast spells from the graveyard if there are any, and it adds 2 mana to do that. We can also exile it, and we can basically recur a card with flashback. Then we have Tribe-Elder for Ramp. We have Ramp and Self-Mill and Skull Prophet. Then I have this whole reanimation and recursion package because all the cards, Sidisi is going to put them in the graveyard. So I thought, why not try and get them back from the graveyard? So we start with some fun ones. Ancient Brass Dragon helps us to reanimate stuff when it connects, and it's random because you roll a d20, but it's fun, right?
It's fun.
It's fun. Then Bone Collar Cleric, sacrifice it and reanimate. Same thing here, sacrifice it to reanimate. Drana, it's an attack trigger, and the defending player gets to choose something to reanimate, but it can't be a legendary creature. Ewit, of course, to just get recursion. Genesis is an interesting one because if it's in the graveyard, we can pay 3 mana and return any other target creature from our graveyard to the hand, so that's great. And Heaven Gull Lich, pay 1 to cast a creature card in a graveyard, and then when you do that, it gains all the abilities of that card. So you don't even have to target your own stuff.
Yeah, other people's stuff.
Other
like
people's
a theft,
stuff.
like a little bit of a theft effect.
Yeah, so very fun one. Hell's Caretaker, we can sacrifice a creature to return target creature card from your graveyard to the field. This is interesting because Sidisi makes zombies, right? So we can use those zombies as sack fodder for something like Hell's Caretaker and reanimate stuff.
And you get anything you want, right? Every turn, right?
Yeah. And Marin, a very classic reanimator card. Obsessive Stitcher I like a lot because it has some filter effect and it's also a reanimator. Then we have the Behemoth, a new one from Brothers War. Because we're going to mill stuff in the graveyard, right? So lands are going to get in there. So you can play lands from the graveyard, fantastic. Unearth, also fantastic. Ramunap, same thing.
Same reason, yeah.
River Kelpie, giving us card draw whenever we cast something from the graveyard. And then Shieldred, the huge reanimated target, also pseudo removal in a way. Springleaf Avenger, I think Paul likes this card a lot. Ninjutsu, and then when you deals combat damage, you can return something from the graveyard to your hand. Storef also triggers on combat damage. We can return something that wasn't put there this combat. Timeless Witness is another Eternal Witness effect. And Whisper, once again using hopefully the zombies to sacrifice them and return something from the graveyard to the field. So 18 pieces of this in the deck, so it's a big theme. Then we have creatures that remove stuff. So Amphin Mutineer, it's great because Encore, if it's in the graveyard, we can just cast it from the graveyard. And then we get 3 copies. ETBs, it exiles another creature. Gravelighter is a sacrifice effect. Haywire Might, the artifact and non-creature enchantment destruction. Hostage Taker is cool because we exile something, then we can cast it. So it's kind of a theft effect. Massacre Worm is a pseudo board wipe. Noxious Gearhulk, removal. Liberator, removal. The flip side is of course much better because it's an attack trigger. Plague Crafter for another sacrifice effect. Chupacabra is a destruction, Shriekmaw same thing, and Sludge Monster is one that I really like because
Oh, that's really strong.
yeah, ETBs you put a slime counter on another target creature and those creatures basically lose their abilities. And then it also does that on attack trigger. Then we have the self-mill package to kind of strengthen Sidisi's theme, I guess. Angel of Suffering, preventing the damage and milling those cards. Grave Troll is here for Dredge. So Dredge, in case you don't know, when this is in the graveyard, instead of drawing a card, you can choose to Dredge 6, which is putting the top 6 cards of your library into the graveyard, and then Grave Troll goes back to your hand.
Yep, that's correct.
That's correct. Karga is super interesting. Attack trigger, it gets Death Touch, and then you mill 2 cards. And then during each of your turns, you can play something or cast something that was put there in the library. So it's self-mill plus recursion. Old Rutstein, every turn you mill something and you get value from that. Shigeki, we're doing also both of these effects are great because the first one you basically mill stuff, and the second, the channel effect, you can return stuff. So dual purpose. Splinter Fright is just more for the self-mill than for the making it big, but it will also get big. And it has trample, so that's great. Stinkweed Aim is kind of removal, but also more for the dredge effect. Yep, Underrealm Lich. Dredge. This is an interesting one to talk about because you can't mill yourself out as long as Lich is on the field. It replaces the draw effect.
Yeah, it protects you from self-mill.
Yep, and Wolf Shaper, mill, plus when it dies, you get to return all the lands from your graveyard to the field. Zelix. So when we mill, we get more tokens, and then we can mill ourselves with the secondary ability. And then we have a bunch of value creatures. Since the deck is all creatures, Beast Whisperer is going to be great. When we cast a creature, we draw a card. Deathrite Shaman is going to use the cards in a graveyard for some value. Glasspool Mimic, just a flexible creature that comes in, copies something.
It's a land.
It's a land, yes. Grist is a creature. So
Grist is a creature.
It's actually legal. Only when it's on the field, then it's a planeswalker. And so this is removal, this mills, this makes tokens, this is super value. Keeper of the Keys, I like this a lot because eventually if we reanimate a lot of stuff or we mill a lot of stuff, we have a whole board full of zombies, then we can make them unblockable, then we can swing in for damage. Otherwise, it comes in, we become the Monarch, we card draw, either way is good.
Yep. And you have a bazillion blockers anyway.
Exactly.
Right, very easy to keep
Same
it.
thing for Frostfang. You know, we have a bazillion creatures, we attack, it all gets Death Touch, and then combat damage, you draw cards, so super value. Sanguine Spy, using the zombies once again to sacrifice and surveil stuff, and then value, if we have 5 or more mana values, we pay 2 life, draw a card. Sir Condrac, the classic kind of graveyard shenanigans, bullet, machine gun stuff. Yeah. Scarab God, another classic. We can have some graveyard hit. We're gonna have a bunch of zombies, so each opponent's gonna lose a bunch of life, we scry a bunch of times, blah blah blah, cannot die. Titania is here because we kind of want to meld them together.
Oh, ambitious.
Yes, very ambitious.
Very nice.
So we have the other half of Titania here in Argoth. But yeah, Uro, also value.
Good stuff.
Yep, card draw and life gain. Yavimaya Elder, also for some land fixing, I guess, and card draw. Then yeah, we have utility lands. So Argoth here. This is actually the more interesting side because we pay 4, we mill 3 cards and get a token. But since it's here, I just added in Titanium.
Why not?
Yeah, to mill, to like do stuff. I don't even know
well,
what
that's a lot of life.
does.
That potentially can be a lot of life as well, right? And when all the land cards, so you're hitting lands because you only have creatures and you only have lands.
Yeah,
right.
So you're gonna hit lands as well, gain life.
Yeah.
Then we have graveyard hit. We have some more destruction. We have more dredge. We have more token making, more recursion, some card draw. This is obviously just emergency removal. We have some recursion and self mill. And then we have more self-mill and recursion. Tomb Fortress, the new one from 40k. So yeah, the rest of the mana base is quite standard. I do like to add in these bounce lands when I'm playing with the channel lands. So that if I have to play a channel land early, then I can bounce it back to my hand in the future and reuse it as a card.
Also, if you're Excavator, you can actually run your channel lands back as well. So that's an added layer of synergy there.
Yep. And same thing for fetch lands. So fetch lands with all the recursion from the graveyard, playing them again, fetching again, playing again, fetching again. So they're all in here. Well, not all, those that are on color. Like in these 3 colors. Because I don't like playing off color fetch lands.
You should, but we don't like it. Doesn't feel right.
So yeah, that's the deck for me. Umori is there as well. and then the curve is kind of on the higher side, but the aim here is really just to get Sidisi out as soon as possible. Turn 3, start attacking, start milling, and then getting those value pieces to recur stuff and bring maybe some of the bigger things back from the graveyard. Yup, so that is my friendly version. Paul, you're next.
Okay, so my CDC deck, ACDC, if you get the reference, is basically just as close as I can bring it to a cEDH deck without it actually going to be cEDH. So we have the very, very powerful card draw effects, very efficient ones, Sylvan Library, Heuristic Study, your Mystic Remora. The deck is packed with a lot of interaction. We've got very versatile interaction, Assassin's Trophy, Boseiju, Oof, because like if you're sitting at a higher power table, you expect there to be a lot of treasures sitting around, your Dockside Extortionist and that kind of thing. Right, primarily as a combo deck, as you mentioned, we mostly view the powerful decks as combo decks. We have our protection for our combo, counter squall, right? Very flexible, very powerful removal in Cyclonic Rift, right? This is to hit on other graveyard decks and also helps us to fill our graveyard. Explore if it is top card to top card to graveyard or on top gets a +1 counter, or if you see a land, it draws you the land, which is nice. It's nice filter. Yep. Deathrite Shaman is the 1 mana planeswalker, so it's very good. Demolition Field is land hate, artifact hate. Since we're putting so many creatures into our graveyard, Necrotic Wound should be a very powerful removal spell. That's what I'm thinking. So this is here. We got Negate, same thing, protection and interaction. Rex Sage, removal. To protect the graveyard, because we're so graveyard reliant, we have Stifle. So this can hit things like your Bojuka Bog effects. It can hit things like your relic effects, right? So specifically there because it's 1 mana and it hits on specifically what the deck does not want to have to deal with.
Endurance effects.
Yeah, endurance effects, right? And Tail's End is there for the exact same reason. Terra Sunder is basically like your Assassin's Trophy but with exile. And Veil of Summer, which is just more protection for
green
when
counter
you...
spell.
Yeah, green counter spell essentially. But it's like a proactive way that you can protect combo lines from going off.
And you draw a card.
And you draw a card. Card should be banned. It's banned.
So sick.
Yeah, it's very sick, very broken card. So combo lines, there are a few. Deadeye Navigator goes infinite with everything. Goes infinite with Peregrine Drake, gets you infinite mana, right? You can use Commander Dreadhorde to like if these two things get milled, you just 1 card Commander Dreadhorde, you can get both of them back. This goes infinite and it mills your entire library. Because like if you have Deadeye Navigator out, you have your Peregrine Drake out, you get infinite mana. With the infinite mana, you can definitely cast CDC. CDC enters the battlefield and you mill your cards. And then after that, you can use the Deadeye Navigator's effect to soul bond with CDC. And then when you want to switch it back to the Peregrine Drake, you just flicker the Deadeye Navigator and then you retarget the Peregrine Drake. Right. And so you can just mill your entire library very efficiently using this combo. Right? That gives you infinite zombies and other things that you can do from there.
Not infinite, depends how many creatures you have.
Yeah, how many creatures you have in your deck.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the basic line base. Esmond has already gone through most of these. The only other thing that I've really gone for here is I think we've got a City of Brass. Yeah, so there's a little bit more power where that is concerned. Nephalia Drownyard, which helps us to mill cards.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, that should be in my deck as well.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good include.
I mean, you have Shocklands as well, so those are
Shocklands. Yeah, I didn't include the OG duels because I felt like you probably don't need that unless you're going like very full on.
Yep.
So I've kept those out. But yeah, if you have those, by all means, throw them in. Interesting point to note that if you really wanted to, you could go with 0 basics and you could put in a Hermit Druid combo. It will work perfectly fine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recursion, we got Archaeomancer, which obviously also goes infinite with the Deadeye Navigator and the Peregrine Drake. You can get any kind of instances or spells you want, so it's a utility piece. Blood for Bones is you sack the zombies, you reanimate your combo pieces, E-Witness, Recursion. This is a Recursion come self-mill package. Yeah, and then just more Recursion. So Recursion is kind of self-explanatory. Self-mill, the engine, CDC isn't always going to be able to get in for damage, right? So beyond your first initial mill, you may find yourself getting blocked out from attacking. So to do with that, Crawling Infestation, Deranged Assistance in Esmond's list as well. Embalmer's Tools, all the zombies can tap, right? And then you can use those to mill.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? So that's something you could do. The Foundation has already been mentioned. Skull Prophet, it's ramp. It also puts cards to your graveyard. Splinter Fright, also in Esmond's list. Sultai Ascendancy is an enchantment that essentially does that, and it's on theme. Look, it's a Naga person right there.
It's a Naga
on
thing.
theme. So the thematic part is not lost still. Yes, it's still there. Underrealm Lich is very good. It's a bit of a non-bow with some of the effects later on, but you know, considering the upside of how many zombies you can get and the way that you can pressure, I think that's still a worthy include. And Valspawn Spider is just another mill effect. And if you wanted to, let's say you could just get a huge board all of a sudden, right? You could say sacrifice the Valspawn Spider and you should get like 20 plus green insects. Why not? Pretty good. These should be tagged, I don't know why they're not. Dread Return is actually a combo piece, right? You can sacrifice your zombies or something to bring back one of your finishing pieces. If you have infinite mana, which is very easy to get, with the Deadeye combo, whatever, Exsanguinate will end the game, right? So if you can't attack the zombies, no problem. You make infinite mana, you Exsanguinate the table, the whole table dies. It's great. Neoform is used as a finisher of sorts. Like, we have a lot of mana dorks, as we haven't gone through them yet, but there are a lot of 1 mana dorks. You can Neoform this, and that will get you your Thassa's Oracle. You Neoform a 2 mana creature, and it gets you your Lab Maniac. You Neoform a 4 mana creature, it gets you your Leveler, right? There's a lot of ways that this can end the game for you. Splendid Recognition is just value, right? You get so many lands from graveyard. So I haven't gone with so many play your lands from graveyard. I've just gone for one big one, right? Yeah, and Victimize is more of the same. Because we're making zombies, I think it's nice to have some zombie payoffs as well. But the deck isn't chocolate blocked with it, because the idea is that I'm getting the zombies as an added bonus.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to win even if I can't combo off. So that's the reason these are there. It's like the secondary plan, the beatdown package, right? So the combination of menace and flying makes a creature virtually unblockable, right? And no one wants to block dash touch tokens. It's just a bad idea. Yeah. Sometimes you get your finishers in your hand. If you can't cast them, you can actually use Crypt Breaker to discard a card, and then that enables you to use your Dread Return or whatever, and you can hold up your mana for your counter spells or something if it's a big hefty creature. So this is kind of like, it's very versatile depending on how you want to use it. Now, the super unfriendly part of the deck is probably this. So Doomsday is one of the big instant you win the game cards. Particularly with Narcomoeba and Thassa's Oracle, what you can do is you could Doomsday. You can put Dread Return, Narcomoeba, and Thassa's Oracle as 3 cards on the top of your library and any 3 cards at the bottom. You swing with Sidisi, it triggers, and then you put the Narcomoeba, the Thassa's Oracle, and the Dread Return into your graveyard. Then you will get 2 zombies as well, which gives you sufficient creatures to sacrifice to Dread Return, which is sacrifice 3 creatures, meaning the 2 zombies and the Narcomoeba.
Right.
When you do that, Thassa's Oracle can be reanimated from the graveyard, and you will only have 2 cards left in your graveyard, and you will have 3 devotion. So this instantly wins you the game of 1 Doomsday cast and 1 attack with Sidisi. Or a cast. If you have enough mana to cast Sidisi from the command zone, yeah, that wins you the game. So this instantly wins the game. There's no fight there. This just ends the game, right?
Unless someone removes Oracle.
Unless someone
devotion
removes,
is 0.
Yeah, and your devotion. No, devotion will still be 1 at the very least, right? So,
Okay.
and if you have other things out on the battlefield, well, yeah, you'll probably still get there. Yeah, so the combo lines are also included inside the general finishers, so you can see the same finishers are all here. Your Creator Hoof Behemoth is basically what you want to be dumping if your Crypt Breaker, your Commander Dreadhawk can get you all your pieces. Labman with Leveler wins the game. Thassa's Oracle with Leveler wins the game. The whole deck is just chocked full of ways that you can just end the game out of nowhere with creatures. Labman, Leveler, Labman, Thassa's Oracle, so these are Leveler combo lines. Commander Dreadhawk can basically dump everything back and you want. You can just win from out of nowhere, right? And then you have your RAM package. This arguably is not particularly powerful, but it's so tamey I couldn't resist putting it in. Yeah, but you know,
Stylistic choice.
It's a stylistic choice, yeah. And yeah, the rest of it is just your very typical RAM package. Your the Dawn Trader Elk and the Embodiment of Spring are basically like spare copies of 1 mana RAM, which you can go for. The reanimation package I've gone through already. Tutors! A whole lot of tutors. We got tutors for days. We got a creature-based graveyard combo. We got Buried Alive. Right, we got Demonic Tutor to find missing combo pieces. Diabolic Intent is basically the same as Demonic Tutor because we have free zombies lying around. The graveyard is going to be so stocked with so many zombies that Fiend Artisan is just going to get you what you need. this is basically going to be get any black combo piece that I want. Mystical Tutor and Vampiric Tutor just to find your interaction to protect you before you go off. You can find your Veil of Summer or something like that, right? Before you go off. And Vampiric Tutor is the same thing, but with a little bit more versatility. Yeah, that's basically the deck. It is chock full of combo lines, and the creatures are just there to, you know, kind of apply pressure so people have to tap out and deal with you while you build towards a combo. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so those are the two decks, friendly and powerful. And yeah, right off the bat, I mean, yours is just combo lines, tutors. I'm actually surprised you don't play green tutors to find like just generically green pieces, like a Collected Oof, for example. Creature tutors.
Well, the thing is that Vampiric Tutor kind of does the same thing. I mean, there is argument for it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Black
they
Tutor,
could drop the Death Doom Shaman for it. That'll be a perfect thing to drop for it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and a lot of protection as well.
Yeah.
The removal is so efficient. The card draw is efficient. So yeah, I mean, these are two different ways to build it. I think mine is really just all in on milling creatures, playing creatures, getting value from creatures. It's 100% creature based. But you can see that when you add in non-creature spells, I think you become a lot more efficient.
Sultai colors in general give you access to very powerful interaction and very powerful effects.
And you can see your curve here is super low.
Yeah.
So you wanna, I think, try and by turn 5 you wanna build like a super crazy board state or win the game even. Yeah, go for a win. So yeah.
Sidisi is actually a cEDH commander at a point. It was actually a cEDH commander, one of the prime ones at the point, because of its ability to actually find pieces from the graveyard. So if you wanted to, you could, right? Force of Will, mana drain, go for it, right?
Yeah, so I think this is a good example. I think you were saying like you can really see the difference in power levels. Like one is really very friendly, just doing its creature milling thing.
Yeah, just building
yours
big
is
boards.
like, you know, you're going for the combo, but even if you don't get a combo, you have a good backup way to win.
In fact, like I would say that a lot of the parts of playing the deck, even like right from the turn 1 that you go, right, you are there with a mindset like this is a fast combo deck. I want to go as fast. I'm not screwing around. Whereas with your list, it's more of like I want to do this cute thing, and I want to get, you know, all these cool creatures and have this.
You just want to get value.
I just want to get
play
value
creatures and reanimate.
But this one is just says no. I just want to win, right? And it just focuses down on I'm going to win as quickly as I can.
And even if you get stopped, you know, you still
have a backup.
Yeah, you still have this.
Yeah, have this little backup plan going.
So it's interesting that, you know, you chose the zombie route as your backup finishers, whereas mine was the
combo route is the backup finisher?
No, mine is the unblockable.
Unblockable route. Yeah.
The what's that? The Monarch one.
Yours is true unblockable. Mine is evasive things. Yeah.
Yeah, so very cool to see the differences in our picks. I think some of your choices I would also put in mind, like the spider, you know, another spider, I guess.
I think the Embalmer's Tools is really cool.
Yeah, but I can't play
that.
Yeah,
you can't play that because you're a Mori deck. Yeah.
So very interesting ways. I think in this one we can really see like how different the cards can be.
Yeah.
Sure, we have some overlap, you know, but overall there are a lot of differences. Like you said, your Splendid Reclamation is a one-shot thing.
Yeah.
I think similar to your reanimation package, like you're going for a big instant.
I'm going for one specific piece, right? In order to win off that one piece.
Exsanguinate, for example. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the power level difference here is quite big. Overall, I think both are going to be pretty fun to play. Pretty similar in a way that you want to have a self-mill thing going on, but then the way to win...
The payoff of the self-mill,
that's
a little bit different,
Yeah. So that's it. Let us know what you thought of this deck. Do you have a Sidisi list? Because it's a pretty popular commander. And what other commanders would you like to see? And let us know how to improve this series, make it better, make it appeal to you more often perhaps.
Yeah, what do you like?
Yes, that's what we want to know. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.